What if we do it like that?
Just living. Actually, sounds pretty good.
That was good.
Yeah.
Did you record that?
Yeah, it's being recorded right now.
You should keep that. Those were the days.
Stop singing actual stuff. Welcome back.
Still great.
Mental Manic Monday.
Mental Manic Monday.
It sounds a little cheesy, but it makes me want to sing that song. Just another blank Monday. Don't sing it. They get it.
Okay.
Welcome in. This is the Just Living, Still Living podcast. I'm Roscoe.
I'm Haley.
We're married still, and you're still alive out there, and so are we. So that's good.
Amen.
Amen. All right, so this is Mental Monday. I wanted to use this day just to kind of like decompress, debrief, talk about certain things that aren't necessarily all fun and jokes, but not like super serious. I didn't want to get like, this is a woe is me or woe the world sort of thing, but just like a healthy balance sort of thing. I thought this day could be that day. What do you think?
Okay.
Early thoughts. What are you thinking?
I'm curious as what you're going to bring up today.
Meaning what?
I don't know. You always have something, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, anybody that's watching this,
What are we sharing?
they don't
with
even
the
know
class
us.
today?
So there could be family and friends that see this.
Yeah.
That stuff would make sense, but to the random Joe that clicks on our video, they have no idea who we are.
Okay.
They know our names, hopefully. Roscoe.
Yela.
Shut up. World-renowned singer Haley.
Amen.
Amen.
So good.
I did want to bring something up before we start.
Yeah.
Because I go back and I've edited now 2 of these podcasts.
Yeah.
The stuff behind us here,
Yeah.
I think it needs to be called out in case, because like I'm watching it, I'm wondering, I'm self-conscious of like, are people like, what the hell is that stuff?
You know, one,
Somebody said something to you already?
no.
Oh.
It drives me insane.
Yeah.
But you know that because of my extreme cleanliness OCD tactics.
Spoilers.
It drives me nuts,
Yeah.
and I'm just waiting for you to say, you know what, baby? Put up that curtain rod so we can hang curtains and break it off. And then we'll have a nice background. But since we're not there yet, it'll come soon. Don't worry, guys. It'll come up.
This is a poker table that I built.
It's a poker
me.
table that Roscoe built by
These
himself.
are the chairs.
Well, Mark helped, but...
Well, don't say his name. I said we weren't going to say our friend's name on here.
Okay, well, he helped.
Yeah.
You all spent the day putting it together and building it, and then you and I went on and laid the fabric.
Felt and the...
And made it look all Green Bay
holders.
Packery with green and yellow fabric. And then these are our chairs that we use to sit in as we play poker with the family.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you have a slight chair obsession. Roscoe buys chairs all the time.
Again, you're spoiling things by using the word obsession. Any other key words you want to throw out for Mental Manic Monday?
I'm just saying, like, you have an obsession with chairs. You love chairs and couches and anything that you can put your tush in.
I like to sit.
You are a sitter.
Wow.
And I love watching you buy new chairs.
Okay. The chairs are up just to protect them because they're old antique chairs that were from my grandparents.
Yep.
And sometimes there could be a little water damage that comes into the garage when it rains. So we put them up like that so we don't damage the wood on the chair bottoms because they did get wet once. So that's why there's this kind of like conjugated mess behind us.
You know, we could put a poll out if you want us to put up the curtain to block it off.
This isn't where I wanted to go.
Put it in the comments.
Okay, yeah. If you can get enough comments, and it can't be people you know.
Fine. People I don't know, change your name. Change your username.
We're already going there. Yeah. No, the rest of our garage, it's not like I want to show off everything. It's this place just makes me happy sometimes. Like and that's
it's
a good segue into the mental.
It's your space.
Yeah, it is. it was something that we visioned, or I envisioned for a while, and it was like, gotta do this the way I want to do it. And I mean, at once it was just a parking garage in here. It was just an empty garage, and we just parked our car in here. There was nothing else. And then the crap that we've collected, obviously back there, but we have whole workspaces for each dedicated one of us for our jobs, and a big TV. That's what we look at up here, and our, credenzas and coffee tables and chairs, and I love it out here.
Yeah.
When it's not freezing cold or extremely hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll segue us into Mental Manic Monday. It was tough to think about. I mean, I was already thinking about this in the morning, like, what do you want to say? What do you want to talk about? How do you want to help someone else? Because that's the goal, is not just talk and help yourself, but see what kind of information you can give someone via an audio podcast or a video podcast of just like I would consider this just life talk. And you don't want to be the kettle. I think that's what I was thinking to myself, was like, geez, I don't want to be non-authentic and lie and say things are, this is how you deal with your mental health, and this is how you make things better, and this is how you be happy, and stuff you just, not that it's lies, just not authentic enough. So it's a tricky, I'm not looking for you for guidance here, but it's a tricky topic of like, I don't even know how to start something like this when it comes to personal issues, personal life, because there's so much story. I think everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And it could be long, and you don't want to drag on forever. And I've watched 2 of our podcasts. I already control everything, and that was in those first two. I just me talking, and I'm like, yeah. I'm not shutting you up, but
Well, I did say you were controlling.
It's a good thing to talk about on Mental Day.
Yeah.
Mental Day. Yeah. What would you? Let's pretend that. What would you tell me to start with? Like, if you were interviewing me, what would you do?
Oh, this pressure.
It doesn't have to be. I'm not trying to make it
I would
pressure.
say, tell me about your typical Monday.
That's good. That's a good way to do it. See? Look at you.
Well, if you let me talk every once in a while, I'm pretty freaking smart. Are you going to answer my question?
You point to me when I can talk, so I'll try to do that. Okay. What do I do on my typical Monday?
What is a typical Monday?
Day in the life. Like, quickly?
Yeah.
Okay. Get up.
Yeah.
Obviously. Get out of bed. Pee. I think that's everyone's. Hopefully everyone out there is using the bathroom well. It's not hurting them.
Yeah.
Because I've been around people where it is. So I hope everyone out there is having a good pee in the morning.
Yeah.
That's number 1.
Okay.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yes.
It's pee. Shake the dust off.
Yeah.
Go start a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I'm a 1 cupper a day.
Yeah.
And then I smoke a cigarette.
Wrong.
What?
I knew you were going to forget it already.
What?
There is something you do every morning.
I spill my coffee on my feet every day. Yeah.
Every morning. It's like you still haven't learned how to hold the damn cup.
No,
and you spill coffee all over your socks and all over your shoes.
I did it this morning. I
know you did.
It's the new mugs that I've collected. Like, I collect these new ceramic mugs.
Yeah.
And the Keurig. I will go on tangents about everything.
I know you will.
What am I going to say then? Say it for me.
You're probably going to say something along the lines of, you use these coffee mugs and they fill up to the brim, and it's hard for you to walk while it's also to the rim of filled with coffee.
Well, I put too much creamer in it.
Well, and when in reality, if you just didn't put as much water in the Keurig, you would have room for your creamer because you are definitely a. Would you like coffee with my creamer? Like that's you. You
I like it. Yeah.
90% creamer, 10% coffee.
Yeah.
But you still haven't learned, and it's every day. It is every day.
I do. I spill it every day.
You take your cup, you go to head outside for your morning cigarette, and
smoke.
as soon as you hit right by the table,
just a little bit,
all over your socks, all over your shoes, and then you look at me like, I can't believe I've done it again.
Yeah, I burned my foot this morning.
I know you did.
I had my Crocs on.
I know.
And it went right through my Croc holes.
Yes.
And it hurt. And I was like, oh. Yeah. And then, I'm always having to wipe up the ground or.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just happens outside. And it's just that first, I just got to get a little bit of it down.
Yeah.
So then it's totally the creamer.
But go on.
Much.
You have your cigarette.
Yeah, that's my Monday. I do smoke, and we can talk about that how that plays into mental health. I smoke cigarettes, which is terrible. There's no need to call me out, Mom, if you're watching or ever listen to it, because my mother's the main advocate of not smoking, and so is everyone is. But I smoke. Honestly, like right now, what I've been doing, the hardest thing is to like not pull your phone out and just go straight to like junk, which I'm not saying everything's junk. We've talked.
You don't.
But I do get my phone out, but I use it for productiveness.
Your daily stoics.
Yeah. So like I do a lot of what's called stoic reading, which is stoicism in itself. It'd be hard to like here I could mansplain everything. Stoicism is it's not a religion, but it's a form of like not mantra or anything like that. Or God, what a hard thing to talk about if you don't know what it is.
Why don't you just say what you do?
I read a daily stoic.
Which are what? You have one specific to fathers.
Yeah, so there's an author named Ryan Holiday that wrote the Daily Stoic. The Daily Stoic are writings from Marcus Aurelius, who was the emperor of Rome, and Seneca and other big, like the best analogy person, if you don't know who those people are, would be like David in the Bible. If you've ever read any of the Bible, who wrote the Psalms, David was the king. Marcus Aurelius was emperor, and they had extreme power, right? So Marcus Aurelius wrote journals every day called, and they collected all of them after he died in times passed on. It's called Meditations. And he just struggled with a lot of mental health and kind of is the forefather of what is the term. That's not a religion. It's just stoicism. It's kind of like the groundingness of life, and things happen to you, but it's how you react to things that matter, not what happened. Nothing that can happen to you matters, good or bad. It's how you react to them. So that's like the Stoic model. So in the morning, I read, you can call them like daily affirmations, but they're daily pages, short blurbs of like, this is the Stoicism thing of today. And I read them. He wrote another book that was connected to Stoicism about parenting called The Daily Dad. I've recommended these to a lot of my friends. Like I've bought these books for friends that are parents that I have conversations with that are like their kids might be younger. I have some friends that have kids that are older. It's really helped me out and kind of grounds you as a parent. So I read those. I am, I do read a certain Bible verse every morning while I'm having my coffee. It's sort of like a random Bible thing that I do. And then I have to go to work. So depending on the Monday, I'm a showerer, what would you say? Like the word obsession would come in. I shower a lot. I'm a clean person.
Call it for what it is.
What do you want to call it?
You're a germaphobe.
Yeah, but I don't shower from germs. I shower just because I like to feel clean and like.
That's basically a germaphobe.
No, I mean I don't. Yeah, but I mean I don't take a
it's-
shower to go. Oh, I gotta clean dirt off me.
No, you do though.
Sometimes, like
All the time.
it's no.
Like, do you shower in the morning every morning to shower?
No.
Yes.
If I shower in the morning every morning, sometimes
Sure.
I don't.
You shower to shower.
How many showers do I take a day?
On average,
And a median, yeah.
I would say 3.
I'd say it 2.
I'd say 3. And it will get more based off what you've done.
Oh yeah, that I agree with you.
If you do anything that is exercise worthy,
I shower.
you shower. If you are cleaning, you shower. If
I poop my pants, I shower.
If you do, I mean,
I'm not pooping my pants.
Since your gallbladder removal, you do go to the restroom a lot more frequently. And if you do have like an episode,
I'm not. Hold on, because I think if you talk,
I'm not saying, I'm not saying you're pooping your pants.
No,
I'm saying like if you just have like an upset tummy, you will shower because you don't feel clean enough.
Well, I mean, I think really, I'm not self-conscious about my poop at all.
I'm not calling you
but
out.
I'm not shitting my pants all the time.
No, I didn't say you were shitting your pants.
Okay.
I just said that you do poop a lot because of your gallbladder removal.
Yeah.
If you take the trash out and trash juice gets on you,
I'll shower. If I take the trash out and I just take the trash out, I'm not going to go hop in the shower right after that.
No.
If I'm outside working in like the mulch or something for the day, I'm not going to shower, go back and do more. I will wait until I'm done working outside to shower.
Right.
If I go out and exercise, which is not happening lately, yes, I would shower after I sweat. If it's a hot day and I'm outside and we like go golf.
Yeah, you're showering.
Yeah, I want to feel clean again.
Yeah.
I won't go to bed like that, no.
You shower every night.
And in the morning, I shower to wake up too.
That makes sense if it's a cold shower.
Yeah.
If it's a warm shower,
I switch it up.
But you shower a lot.
Dude, we're only like 10 minutes into my Monday. So I shower, I go to work. My Mondays are actually almost like a therapeutic day in itself because I have a certain friend at work that he's like one of my really closest friends at work, and we have one-on-one time together, and we'll talk about our job, but then we will get personal and stuff. So kind of decompress to get ready for the week, not be a Garfield, and then Mondays can be pretty busy at work. Everybody's job's like that, I think, because you're back from the weekend, and then the kids, they're home around 3 or 4 p.m. and we continue on through that.
Yeah.
And that's Monday.
Yeah.
Am I forgetting stuff?
No, I think that's pretty spot on.
Yeah, that's an average Monday.
Yeah.
And which could be like almost an average any day. But Mondays...
It's pretty average for every day. I mean, you do all the things every day, like in a routine, if you will, which routines are good for you. So that way you can feel in control of your day. Because you don't like spur of the moment. You don't like things that aren't planned.
Nope.
So you do try to keep a routine, which helps. You can definitely tell when your routine's off, your day changes, your mood changes.
Because things don't go according to plan every day.
Correct.
Every day. Even today. I would say even today I've had missteps and miscues. But again, I think that leads into this audience, whoever this audience is, if they're friends and family at least, they're aware of some of that. Yeah. If there's a random person, they could be like, they have no clue. This is where I appreciate the first question. I mean, the easiest way to say this is that I don't like to say this negatively about myself because you like to correct me and say like that's not your identity.
Yeah.
I have a lot of mental health issues. Like I've diagnosed. We talked about it. I talked about it on the podcast yesterday. A little bit. you had brought up COVID and said, "Do you want?" And I was like, "No." And then you brought up tics, and I had Tourette's, which it's not a joke. I'm not making fun of Tourette's. It was overwhelming thinking about how to even talk about this kind of stuff. And I'm not cutting you off, and I'm pointing at you, so you let me finish this at least. There's a lot that's happened since birth to now, 34 years, that I could fill up a whole 4 hours of time talking. I could fill up a whole day.
I was going to say.
There's a lot that's happened in the past year calendar from September 23 to now that not no one knows. Friends or family that are watching this now, they know little bits.
They don't know the whole thing.
They don't know. I mean, I deliberately didn't put anything on Facebook or social media about certain things. Like, there were no photos of me.
Yeah.
If there were photos of me, because, which we'll get into and I'll talk about, there was actually like a physical problem happening that you would be able to see it. And if I was in a photo, somebody would be like, what is that? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Deliberately, like, stayed away from posting any photos or saying, like, there's people that they have no clue that something was going on, something still is going on. And then more things happened, like this whole 12-month calendar has been, which is still continuing. It's not like there's a finish line. I didn't know how I was going to start to talk about that and share it with people. It's not like that I'm afraid to. It's that I didn't want to look like it was a...
Woe is me.
Yeah. Like, I'm not... If you're out there and you're watching this and you've done this, I'm not calling you a piece of shit or something like that. I'm in the hospital and taking a photo, like, take a photo of you in the hospital. Let's selfie, like... And there's no caption, like, there's no description. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, well, what's wrong? Like, you want someone to reach out, and, like, I understand why you would do it. You want to feel like, oh, I want help. Like, I want some.
Everybody wants
help
human
me.
connection.
Yeah, like, I want
everyone
someone
wants
to reach
sympathy
me.
and empathy. Everyone desires a little bit of attention. I can understand that. I think that some people, I mean, I would even think that that's probably like a little bit of mental illness. There is like when
Definitely.
You constantly want to be the victim and constantly want the attention. Like, I think that there's just a little bit of misfire in the brainwaves there.
Definitely.
You are not that person. You are like the exact opposite. When shit gets real, you only want to go need to know basis. Mm-hmm. You don't want anyone to feel sympathy for you. You don't want anybody to know what's going on with you. You would rather just need to know and then just deal with the backlash. If somebody thinks that you're just being an ass for no reason, you would rather them think that of you than for them to know what you truly are dealing with, because you don't want to burden anyone with your problems. And sometimes I admire that about you, and sometimes it drives me crazy. But I think that like I am so protective of you. Mm-hmm. So protective of you. I always have been, and I will continue to be. So when I know that you are in a need to know only space, I can't say anything because I'm in that bubble and I know what your wishes are. And then when the outer circle, people think they know everything and they make comments, and when they don't know the story because it's not their business, it gets frustrating because then they start to make comments, and I so badly want to be like, you are so far from the truth.
Yeah.
It's not even funny. But because I protect you so much, it's let them say what they want to say, because that's the reason why they're not in the circle.
Yeah. And I hate that.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
But this past year has been really hard.
The hardest year of my life. Easy.
Same. And I don't want to take from you because I didn't go through what you went through. But I mean, I like to think of myself as a strong person, and there were moments where I was like, I'm gonna break.
Oh, I know.
And I think that in a weird way, and you can ask my Bible study group, since we're not dropping names, but you can ask my Bible study group on Fridays. Every week I continue to pray for one thing and one thing only. And if they're listening, I know that they're screaming it right now at the computer, but it was always patience. Grant me patience. Gift me patience. Because I knew that whatever it was that I was feeling was nothing compared to what you were going through. And I was allowing myself to be selfish and self-centered. And I needed to be strong for you. So grant me patience, gift me patience, teach me patience. And I truly do think that this past year, God taught me patience. And I already thought that I was kind of pretty good at it, but now I feel like I'm, professional level.
I think you've always been really good at it, and I mean, you know that. I've said it. I could find the right words to say it here, but no. There's no better way to put it than like you're a gift. I mean, it's been. You just don't know how it would have worked and how anything would have worked without you. Not saying it couldn't have, but I like to think that it was meant to be, like fate. So
100%.
I want to say with that, you deserve all the credit for anything for that. Not just for this year, but for to circle back. We talked about sharing it, sharing information and stuff like that. And woe is me. I love saying that because it really does make you look at yourself. There are things. It's just a tricky way to talk about it. Mentally is one thing. There's mental health. There's physical health. There's health. To me, they're two in one. I mean, you got to take care of your mental health. I've learned just as much as you try to take care of your physical health, because your brain's an organ too. I had things going on for years, decades, mentally, not physically, mentally. Physically, I had stuff like, people have common things, ailments or, allergies, stuff like that, asthma, but I never had anything like truly groundbreaking as this past year physically, and to have it all kind of bounce around one by one. And I think it's just, I don't have to get into full detail of like autobiography, but I just kind of spill things here. I am diagnosed, if we'll start with the mental because that matters. I am diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, agoraphobia, obsessive compulsive disorder,
shocker,
depression. What else am I forgetting? PTSD, addiction. You could throw terms. You could throw all kinds of terms at them. These are things that I have clinical diagnosis for.
Yes.
I go to doctors.
Yes.
If not weekly. Now I've kind of been able to schedule down to like once a month. I have been seeing doctors for that kind of stuff since I was 16.
Yes.
17 was kind of when I guess you would call it the anxiety portion of things in my life started, with panic.
Yes.
The term anxiety, and I hate that I have to talk about it like this.
Oh, that's another one. Panic disorder.
Panic. So like, yeah.
So generalized anxiety is different from
that's
panic disorder.
That's what's so hard about this is because like, if you're not aware of it, which I'm not saying everyone's just like, oh, I've heard of it, whatever. Mm-hmm. The people that know, and it's not like we're in this club that's like, nobody else can get it.
Yeah.
There's like not a hierarchy. There's an umbrella of. Here's a good way to put it. If you've seen a show like Hoarders, for example, like I know that was popular.
I've never missed an episode.
Or there was like True Life, or like My Crazy Obsession, like all these weird TLC shows
Also,
where it was
never
somebody
missed an
that
episode.
like. And I'm not making fun of these people, but like maybe like this. I saw a lady that would like clean herself with bleach on one of those shows, like, all the time. Those are all categories underneath like OCD would be considered.
Yes.
People don't really recognize, like they hear the term obsessive compulsive disorder and they think, oh, that person's a clean freak, or oh, that person
is organized.
Yeah. Like
everything in its place.
It is so weird how it can fall in different, like you wouldn't understand. I didn't even know it was obsessive compulsive. Like I guess I did know. I just never kind of really accepted, like, you have like really bad OCD.
You have really bad OCD.
Yeah, because I would always say, no, I have panic disorder. I have panic attacks.
No.
I have panic attacks. That's what the problem is. Help me fix this.
Yeah.
I just because when things started happening, it was obviously panic attacks were like the kicker off. Like it was those are the big ones that. Especially early, like 17, 18 years old, you're just like, what is going on? Like, there's no way to describe it. If you've never, which everyone's felt fear or panic.
I'd say if you don't know what it's like, watch Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
And go to the scene where anxiety takes over the control panel.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Watch that scene.
Yeah.
And times it by 10.
Here's the thing. In the movie, in Inside Out 2, and sorry for spoiling Inside Out 2 for you, but the character Riley Anderson has anxiety, the emotions in her brain now, and she has a panic attack on the hockey rink. But she has her panic attack rooted on, just her overwhelmingness
of what she did.
Self-consciousness.
Yes.
And like she was not just embarrassed, she was, it was all of those things. My panic attack, people could have. Oh yeah, people could have. You learn a lot. My panic attacks were from my first. We're here. We're here. I'll try to keep it. I'll really try. My first panic attack that I ever had was on a plane, which is why I still have not flown to this day since then.
Yeah,
I'd flown before. I flew home from Florida.
Yeah,
on my own. Because I was I'm not going to get into all that. I was
in a treatment facility
in high school for anorexia.
Okay.
I won't get into it.
Okay. Don't get into it, but okay, got it.
Things started before panic attacks.
Yeah.
And anxiety. There were already loads of other mental health issues going on that were easily not treatable, but were you could at least hide from it and not. It wasn't bothering me. Like it wasn't affecting me to like. It was killing me. I learned the anorexia that I had, and in high school, I'll share a photo. You know what? That'll be good. I'll put photos up.
Okay.
Because right now you're looking at me like
it.
Not flag what?
So you put a photo in. I gave you that marker. You're so welcome.
Yeah, I was in a treatment facility in Florida when I was a teenager in high school. I had anorexia nervosa is what it's called. It's not very common in men. It does happen in men. There was a treatment facility in Florida my mom took me down there because they would keep me in this hospital facility and treat me with, I had therapy. I didn't want to be there, but it was basically like, hey, this is what's happening to your body. I didn't almost die. I collapsed when I was 16 because my potassium was too low. I had no nutrients in my body because I was severely underweight, deliberately too. I was fasting myself every day to lose weight, and it got out of control. I had bad body dysmorphia. Again, all things that stem from addiction that I didn't know. Like when you think addiction, you think drug addict or gambling addict. There was already addiction in my mind with like just food, not eating food to lose weight addiction. Like addiction can spread easily. in different ways. Same way it spread to the anxiety. So again, it's so much. I leave the treatment facility. I fly home back to Kentucky. I'd been there for 50 to 60 days. I was like, Mom, don't drive back down here. I was like, just fly me home. It's cheaper. I'd already flown before. And I was like, I can fly. I'm 16. I can fly. I got on the plane. My mom was like, okay. I flew early in the morning. I remember I had a large cup of coffee. Didn't spill it on myself. It probably didn't help that I had a lot of caffeine. It was early. I hadn't slept. It's like 4 a.m. flight. Got on the flight. Flew to Atlanta to lay over. Laid over in Atlanta. And I mean, on the flight to Atlanta, which was barely a 45-minute flight, it hit. Like, I had never experienced that overwhelming sense of what I now know is like disassociation, impending doom. It's not just your heart races and you're sweating or stuff. That's not what it is. There's no way else to put it except, maybe watching Inside Out. Inside Out 2 is one of the best. And Ted Lasso, I've always said, and you haven't watched Ted Lasso, they're the best ways to describe a panic attack.
Make sure you jabbed me right there. I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, I really want you to watch the show because
I know, but
it has always kind of represented it well, because it's a hard thing to do because it's happening in your mind. It's not happening.
Right. And I think to your point, like, then that's one of the biggest things with mental health awareness, and which is why I think that I'm so passionate about making sure that the right information is being shared. Because you're right, people do, and OCD is a good example. Oh, I have OCD because my house is always clean and things are where they're supposed to be.
It could be. I mean, that can't be OCD.
I mean, truly, I that is my OCD.
Sure.
Mine is clutter, though. I can't stand clutter. I need things to be where they are. I've too been diagnosed by my therapist that I have OCD in that way. But it's not your OCD. My point is like, there's such a stigma around mental health even today, and especially for men. You are, expected to suck it up and move on.
Oh, it was emasculating with the like you were talking about, just how much strength you had to do through the past year, where it was almost going to break you. That can break not that you did anything wrong, but just as a man, like being a man, having to just not let go of that, but just the fight of like, oh, you can't. I had to just like let you take over everything and help. Not that you weren't helping before, but like it felt so like you want to talk about like you feel like nothingness. There were already things breaking you. That just sucked even more. Like, it didn't even know that was going to be a thing. It was just like you can be a piece of shit and not care. And just be like, yeah, she's going to do all this. She's going to take care of these kids. She's going to clean this house. She's going to take the trash out now. All of that stuff bothered me. And it was like, just get it, like fight to try to do it. But there was a point where it was like, I had to not do anything. Like it had to stop. Like I had to either stop or it was going to make me stop, which we'll get to. There were points that life said, I'm stopping you. You're not going to control it.
Yeah.
It sucks. Continue. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. I lost it.
I'm so sorry.
So
I'm
sure it was really good.
Being a man is what you're saying.
Oh, so yeah. Mental health with
stigma.
Men,
yeah.
There's a stigma around it. I think that the world is getting a little better, in being. I don't even want to say understanding, because I don't even think we're at understanding yet. I think acknowledgement is where we're at as a society, especially for men. But it truly comes down to education, right? I think that's one of the things that like I try to push for, because I'm part of the mental health awareness group at work.
Mm-hmm.
And, I read the posts and I try to push education. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just because someone says they have panic attacks doesn't mean they're scared of everything.
Yeah.
Educate yourself. Read on it. Understand it. Just because someone...
If they want to. People don't want to.
No,
That's fine.
not at all. No.
I'm not.
But I think that's what I'm trying to get at. Is like, if you have zero desire to learn about it, then it comes back to then maybe don't have an opinion.
Well,
maybe don't make comments.
Even the people that don't want to have an opinion. People could be watching this right now and be like, I don't care at all.
Cool. Good on you.
That's fine.
But don't treat somebody like crap because you're not willing to understand what it's like for them.
Yeah, I'm not wanting to be out here. I don't want to. I could easily just not be doing this.
Sure.
But I feel like it's not my need to do it. But I have had the ability to get help from other people.
Yes.
On YouTube.
Yes.
People that talk about this.
Yes.
Because they did.
Yes.
It opened up more things of me going, okay, I can understand this and this, and I can move here and here and there. So
it goes back to me being protective of you. Mm-hmm. And that's just my thing, is you don't want to know. It doesn't affect your day. You do you, boo. Mm-hmm. Do not pass judgment unless you're willing to learn.
I mean, I just pass judgment on people that post photos of themselves in the hospital.
I don't think you pass judgment. I think you said that that's not you, and it's not you.
Yeah.
Because again...
I was saying when the things, which we'll get to what happened, the big thing, I guess is what we call it. There's family right now. I hope if there's any podcast that any one of these that we continue to make for the next 30 days, because we said 30 days, if anyone can watch these, it's my family and friends, I hope, because then they can actually see what I wanted to say. Because there were so many things that I missed. Or so many, not argument, we didn't have arguments, but there were so many unanswered calls, vague texts, just so many things that were left unsaid because I didn't share everything and everything in its extent, because it was just so much and I was so overwhelmed that I just wanted to shut out the world outside of just this house.
I know.
Yeah. So I hope that they can watch that and see it at least. And know that I didn't have anything else but love in my heart, that I was trying to protect myself.
I also know that too.
Yeah. Okay, we'll circle back. Again, I'm sorry. I had a panic attack on the flight home. Mm-hmm. I laid over in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I got off the plane in Atlanta. I told this story. You've heard it a million times.
I lived it.
What do you mean? Well, you weren't there with me in Atlanta.
I wasn't with you in Atlanta, no, but we had the same exact experience. Oh, yeah. From Florida to Atlanta to home.
So, I mean, that panic attack on the flight, there's no way I can just describe it. I got off the flight, pooped immediately. I'll say that. When you have panic, it can screw your stomach up. That's why they say people shit their pants too when they die, or you get scared enough. You see people in movies like pee themselves. Mm-hmm. I didn't poop myself. I went to the bathroom in Atlanta, got super sick super fast, and was like, just didn't know what was going on. Felt so alone in the world, even though Atlanta's the busiest place. Mm-hmm. So overwhelmed, all of it's tunnel visioned out, and the only thing I could think of was, I don't know how I'm going to get on this next plane. Mm-hmm. Because it was the turbulence and the fear of, like, I was getting ready to die on that plane. I had landed, the panic had kind of subsided, and I was like, I got to get on another plane to go home. I'm in Atlanta, and this is pre-cell phones. Or, like, I didn't have a cell phone. So I had to go find a payphone, and I was going to call my mom in Kentucky and say, I didn't even know I didn't even know what I was going to do. I mean, it's almost like that vivid. And Atlanta airport sucks. So awful. I had like 10 minutes to get to my next flight, which was like on the other side of the airport. And I was like, if I call my mom, she's going to kill me. Because she paid for this flight. So I was like, I just got to do it. So and that's kind of how therapy goes now, is just like that kind of mantra. Got on the flight. Obviously wasn't as bad as the first flight, but still panicky. There was this, and I would never tell a story without talking about this guy, because he's out there somewhere, or he's not. This old African American gentleman was flying home to Louisville, and he knew something was wrong with me. He sat next to me, and he could tell. And he didn't ask me what was wrong. It was just like he knew. And he started talking to me. He was a jazz musician, and he started talking to me about his music to keep my mind. Like, I know it. He talked to me to keep my mind occupied on it. And I mean, he might have told me his name or something. I was 16. It wasn't like I wrote it down. But he totally guided me through all of that.
What do we call those moments?
God moments. Miracles. Meant to be's. I'll never forget that guy.
I'm glad you had that guy. I had a guy in a trench coat. Seriously, and didn't speak.
Yeah.
Scared me.
But when I got home, I knew, things felt different the moment I got off the flight, because I started seeing, we went to Holiday World that day. My mom had taken my sister. Holiday World is an amusement park. We went to Holiday World that same day, and I never talked to my mom about what happened on that flight until years later. You're a teenager, it's in and out of your head. But like going to the amusement park, it was just like it was happening over and over again. I would go to get on a roller coaster. Stuff I was doing all the time a month ago. Never would have thought about certain things. Just the catastrophic thinking started. It just started like overthinking, like something had opened in my brain that was like, yo, this. You're in this kind of situation. The fear, it just was constantly happening over and over and over. And I can remember that trip at Holiday World, and I was like, this is not me. Like, I don't know what happened, what this treatment, I was blaming it on the treatment place. Maybe it was the nutrients coming back in my body.
Probably.
I don't know. But I was so confused of what was going on, and this was leading into senior year of high school. Then in senior year of high school, again, the previous 3 years in high school, while I had some obvious other issues going on mentally, this was new. And there were moments where I had left school because of it and had to go home, and just was really jacked up. It was prom night. I remember being with my prom date, taking photos with the group, and panic attack happened right then. And I had to go inside the person's house in the bathroom, and like cold water on your face. Like, this is all brand new to me. Looking back, I could have handled it easier, but it was destructive. And that's just basic. That was just a basic borderline. This is panic disorder. I was still functioning at a level. That's what I've learned since then. So that's almost 18, 19 years ago. There's functioning, and then there's debilitating. That's the umbrella. There are things where I'll have to take these psychiatric exams now. And you have to be honest. And I'll score a certain number, and it's like, yeah, this is life changing. This is a disability. It grew. It grew like cancer grew. It went from panic disorder to, which was just having panic attacks, to I started taking medication for it and seeing therapy to treat it. And you wanted to just like, oh, it's going to go away. And it didn't, because I just wasn't really treating it the right way. And then it grew into what people would call hypochondria, or the term I use and the term my therapist and psychiatrists use would be illness anxiety or health anxiety, which is hypochondriac, essentially. I was going to the hospital all the time for heart attack or
brain aneurysm,
anything.
blood clot,
lots of stuff.
Collapsed
and it was
lung.
all It wasn't like I was saying this is what it is, but there was like you were Googling symptoms.
Yeah.
This is pure hypochondriac.
Yeah, I know I was there.
Yeah. And when you go and they're like, well, we've ruled out everything. You're hypochondriac. They give you that. I always talk about this Aesop fable. Is the boy who cried wolf situation, which I hate so much. I don't hate it like that totally is what it feels like. But I hate it because in the story, the boy who cried wolf, he cried wolf for fun and knew there was no wolf. I didn't know that there was no wolf. I fully believed there was a wolf.
Yeah.
Every time. It wasn't like I was crying wolf to get in it. I could see how people would say it's for an attention thing.
Yeah.
You know? Like he's wanting to do it for fun. No fucking way. Like I had no fun.
Zero fun, sir.
Zero fun, sir. Like there was never a time in any of it was I like, oh, this is so much fun. And I love doing this. Now that leads to I don't even know how long we've been talking because my thing isn't going. I'm sorry if it's going long, but we're here. We're in it. And it matters. We got married around the same time. Like all of this was fresh happening at 17 years old. Then 18, me and you we're hooked up.
What up, bruh?
Yeah. And I mean, you knew coming into it. It was so fresh with me that you kind of were like there in the early stages of what was going on. And at the beginning of things, not saying that it was a negative thing, but it has turned into that. I know I did. I clung to you as like a support system. You were supportive. You were, what's wrong? Are you like I'm not saying you've changed, which in a bad way. I'm saying you've changed as now you know, okay, we're not going to just rush to the hospital every time you have a headache. You know, it wasn't always like that, but it was at the beginning. It was like, oh, you're okay. Like I was using you as a comfort crutch.
Yeah. And
what ended up happening was that we built a very codependent relationship, and I became very codependent on you.
Yes.
Which is not a good thing to have, but it was also not a negative thing to have because we're married, and we were building a life together, and it's very hard to explain what was happening. That's where the agoraphobia comes in. That's another clinical diagnosis that I have. That's a very big one. Like it's a big one. That's
I would say it's your number one.
Yeah, it's what has, I hate the term disability. Not to say like I hate the term for anyone else to have a disability.
You don't want to be labeled.
I hate that I have to say. I don't want to go around and say I have a disability. You don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure other people don't either.
Right.
Because there's loads of. I'm sure there's people that can't walk.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people that can't see.
Yeah.
They don't want to say it. They're them. I'm me. But it's the big one that was like, dude, this one's bad. This is one of the umbrellas that like this one's crippling your life. And what agoraphobia is not the fear of fear of places. If you Google what agoraphobia stands for, there was a time, I don't know when it started, that I couldn't drive at one point. I quit driving. I associated any time I was driving, I would panic. So like I just quit driving. You would drive everywhere. I couldn't drive on the highway with you in the car. I couldn't do it. It kept, like I said, it grew like a cancer. I would not go places. So that's kind of how it started. Was I
refused?
Yeah, there's some parts of agoraphobia. There's people out there which I've seen and talked to. They haven't left their home in years, or a small area. Like there's people that maybe they can't get out of their driveway, which I'm thankful I've never gotten to like that. I mean, I have, but I haven't gotten. I'm not letting it, or at least I'm trying to work on it as much as I can. Mm-hmm. That's how it started. Was I wasn't going, so like you would go and just go do everything, and we're young too, so we're like in our 20s, and we have a child too, which made it throw that scoop of life in the mix makes it even harder. Yeah, you would just go without me and just go to. There were some parties, events, things like that. It was hard for me to keep my job. I couldn't keep a job down. But we had to raise kids, so then I went back to school. Then it was hard for me to go to school. And I didn't know what I was going to do. Then what it turned into was, which honestly was worse. I know you'd agree was worse. That agoraphobia, along with the panic, along with the health anxiety, like all these, the obsessive compulsive disorder that I didn't even know that's what it was at the time. It had shifted itself into, I had become so codependent on you that I couldn't just be away from you either. Not like we have to stand hand in hand. It was, you were working at a certain job and I was at home, and the kids would go to your job because you worked at a daycare. And the kids got free daycare out of it. And I was working at, I had gotten an at-home job, which I thought was going to help me. I ended up losing that job because the agoraphobia had built itself to like, I couldn't even sit in the living room by myself. Like I was full blown, just, I can't put words to it. Crippled. I couldn't breathe. The panic. It would have been, I'm going to the hospital or I'm going to be near Haley is kind of how it was to like try to help myself calm down. That's it. I got relief from being around you because I felt safe with you. Mm-hmm. And that's not healthy. Mm-hmm. In the alternative, it is good that, I mean, at least I feel like it's good. Like you're my wife and I love you. But man, I fell apart. I was sitting outside of your job in the car for 8 hours a day.
I know.
Yeah. Like I couldn't even, that was the resolution to life was, well, Haley's got to work. I can't go into her job, which I did. I had been in there because I was friends with your boss. I was doing work for them.
I know. I was there.
Yeah. But I mean, I can't believe I sat there and did that almost every day for a couple months. Was just, yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't be at home. We only have one vehicle too, which always was an excuse. Like I can't not have an escape. The trapped feeling. It's just, oh yeah, it got bad in a sense. So that all kind of ties back to this. All that stuff was happening and it was affecting our life financially, our relationships, our relationship with friends, our relationship with family. You were confused enough. I was confused enough. How are they going to be understanding of it? They had no clue.
Right.
It was a whole shebang. We moved down to Florida.
Yeah.
To try to reevaluate life and figure out what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when things kicked off of like, okay, we need to work on this. Things aren't ever going to get better if we don't fix.
Right.
Not fix. If we don't start treating stuff. So that was when I made the commitment to like, all right, I really need to take this really serious because it's affecting 4 people now. It's affecting your wife, yourself, and 2 children, and their families. Your family, my family. They had no clue. They weren't getting it. My friend and friends. It was affecting everybody around me, and I felt so bad. I felt like I was just a burden to everything. And
yeah, you put a lot on you.
I put a lot on you.
No, I mean like You put a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yeah, nobody wants this, I think. Nobody wants anything.
Nobody asked for this, for sure. What I mean is like, again, back to that circle. You've always been, this is the circle.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't like to share. So from the outside looking in, it is perceived one way, when in reality, it's something completely different. It's just, this is the circle.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not in it, you're not in it. And you keep your circle very small. I mean, honestly, I think that I'm the only one in your circle that knows 100% everything of everything.
Not now. I think there's
I think
multiple.
that yes, but again, it comes to building that trust, and you have to, it's almost like you test people to see if they're worthy of being in that circle. Because once you say the raw thing...
Oh, you feel insane. I've always said that.
Yeah, you don't want to be judged.
Oh, no. You don't want
and you don't want anyone
you don't want to be like, that guy's crazy.
Yeah, and you don't want anybody to like run off and be like, oh, can you believe Roscoe was saying this? Like, that's, insanity. So like you're almost testing everyone around us. And if they hit that mark of like, okay, I can tell them the raw, then they get put in it. But for a long time, it was just me.
I mean, I'm telling the raw to these.
I understand you're telling it now, but I'm saying for the past 16 years, 17 years we've been together, it's just been me.
Yeah.
So the perception of our life and the perception of our relationship has been so fabricated, when in reality it was...
You mean our outer perception to people?
Yeah, like what people think of our relationship that aren't in this circle.
We tried. That's where it can get frustrating. We did try to tell people,
which takes me back.
And it backfired.
Mental health.
It backfired
with
a lot
men.
Of times.
There's a stigma.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of the time. It's suck it up and do what you need to do.
Which
Which takes me back to maybe try to read on it and educate. Because that's not the way that it works. It's not a suck it up and move on when you're having a panic attack.
I wish I could suck it up. It's not just a panic attack, but I wish I could suck it all up.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's not a suck it up.
Oh, yeah. I wish it was.
And, earlier, like you said early on, it was, are you okay? I was supportive. Can I be there? And I've said this many times now. Since you've been in your recent therapy, so your recent therapist, whom we love, I've learned not to ask you if you're okay.
Reassurance.
I've learned to ask you what you need.
Because you're given reassurance. You didn't know that. Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
And I did know that for a long time. And so now it's a habit to, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
What do you need?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm just saying, like, I'm not trying to sound like an ass.
No, I know.
But when you look at something and you aren't completely educated on it, or you have no desire, right? If you don't want to, don't do it. But don't perceive things based off your own thoughts. Maybe for a second give them the benefit of the doubt that something else is happening that you're just not privy to.
Yeah.
Because again, we're not sharers. And I think that stems back to like just who we are as people. We've been burned so many times that it's hard for us to share with someone else like the raw of the raw. Because I can tell you I think I only have you.
Why would they care?
That I can 100% say the thing in my mind as it's being said in my mind.
That's the same with me.
You're the only one that I know I can tell, and you're not going to...
I think that's a good thing, though.
Send me to a hospital or call the police or, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I think that's just who we are as a couple. I think that's why we
are married,
thrive as a couple.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we continue to grow together as a couple, because we are nothing but 100% honest at all times.
Yeah.
Even when we don't want to hear it.
You've asked that of me, and I've asked that of you.
Yeah.
we've both said that. Like, hey, the best thing we can do is. I say that all the time now. I mean, being open and honest has made me feel a freedom like I've never felt before. Because it's not like I was hiding a crime or hiding a lie, which, I mean, I might have been. But just to be able to say the truth. This is, I'm just trying to think of an example. There's plenty. I don't need an example. That's what I'm saying. The weight of not having anything on your heart of just being like, I can say it no matter, I don't care anymore.
Right.
I don't care if they hate me for it. I don't care if they don't care. I don't care if they care too much. I am only telling them because I want to be honest with them about anything.
Right. It's
always been like the best medicine is honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And starts with yourself. Like, I think that's one of the, I'm going to bring that up in a minute because that's what I actually wanted to talk about. I'm so self-conscious of time. I don't know how long it's been.
I can tell you it's been an hour and 2 minutes.
We started at 8?
We did.
Okay. I don't want to go too long. But I feel like I have to get to the point I wanted to get to. I kind of started it, and it needs to, there's not an end to it, but at least needs to be filled in. So I'm going to do it quick if that's okay.
Knock yourself out.
Okay. I've explained what my mental health is. So you have a backstory of what could happen to a person that fears the worst is always going to happen to them. And it never happens because they have a generalized anxiety disorder. Mm-hmm. And then some of the worst things ever happened to me actually really did happen.
Yeah.
And it was so confusing, and it's still confusing now because you are a catastrophic thinker, and people around you are like, dude, you're a catastrophic thinker.
Yeah.
You have panic disorder. You have anxiety. Calm down, calm down, calm down. Do this in therapy, do this and that. And then the thing you fear actually happens to an extent. It wasn't death. So, I mean, just living, still living. But it was close enough to, it was multiple times. So this is the story that you've heard so many times this past year that always gets a new chapter added. I'm going to do it quickly. Okay.
Okay.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Give me the finger so I can go. September of last year, 2023. I woke up. I made my cup of coffee. Maybe I didn't spill it on my foot, and that's why all this happened.
I'm going to go with you definitely spilled it on your foot.
I made my cup of coffee. I took a step down into this garage right over there.
I was sitting right here.
It will be a red letter mark. It's one of my little orbs in my brain with my people. My hearing went out in my right ear.
Yeah.
Completely. Just turned off.
Yeah.
I thought, what? Like I thought, oh, clogged ear? What the hell's going on? That's, I'm going to play it out like I play it out for every doctor I've talked to. Ear hearing goes out, comes back a little bit, and all of a sudden I'm just like, this is not feel, you just know when something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But being someone with anxiety, you panic too.
Yeah.
So this doesn't help things. So I'm in a state of panic. I cannot hear at all in my ear. And what I can hear sounds like an ocean, or like you're listening to a shell is how I've described it to people. And it completely distorted my, like, which I've learned is called vestibular. You're going to hear a lot of mental and medical terms here because I feel, and I've said this before, I could I could get my doctorate in this field after what I've went through. Your vestibular, inside your inner ear canal, people can get inner ear infections and have this vertigo where things spin. That was happening while I was talking. Like if I tried to talk and I was hearing. So obviously something wasn't right. So it was to the doctor. And the doctor said, don't see nothing. Everything looks good. You probably have an ear infection. Take some antibiotics. Mm-hmm. Took the antibiotics. Mm-hmm. Hearing started to come back. Mm-hmm. Was like, okay, things are fine. Then this thing popped up underneath my ear. So like under my skin, under where my earlobe is, this large lump formed. And I was like, can you feel this? And again, being a health anxiety person, you don't want to be looking for lumps and bumps and Google and stuff. So you're just like, what is this? And like my hearing's messed up. So I'm already in the process of, I've been going to therapy for years. I've been learning we control, what we can control and what we can't control. So we keep ourselves as far away from catastrophically thinking as possible. Mm-hmm. And it's very hard when things are happening to you. You're like, this is just your head. This is nothing. This is nothing. This is nothing. Go to the doctor. They feel it. ENT specifically, a person that ear, nose, and throat. They feel it, and he's like, yo, this isn't not bad. He's like, oh, this is, this is something, though. This could be a lymph node from your infection. But he's like, I don't even see any ear infection in here. And you've been on the antibiotics only a couple of days. You would have something.
Did he use a car term?
What do you mean? 80-20?
No, he said something like, I don't think it's anything, but I don't want to be...
He didn't want to be wrong. He didn't want to say it was...
Cavalier?
Cavalier, yeah. I don't want to be cavalier about
Weird.
it. Yeah, it was... There's no reason not to investigate it.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt you to get a CT scan.
Yeah.
Speaking of CT scans, spoiler alert, I went and counted before this because I knew I was going to talk about this. Since September 2023 to, what is today, November 25th, Monday, November 25th. 9 CT scans, 4 MRIs. I didn't count the x-rays. Over 75 to 100 blood works done.
Wow.
Yeah. Not including urinalysis and things like that, which we'll get into anyway. Back to what was happening. There's a lump here. The guy's like, oh, yeah. The ENT's like, it's no big deal. We'll go get it looked at. We'll get a CT. How you feeling? How's your hearing? Hearing was a little off. They were doing hearing tests and stuff on me, and it was just like, oh, it's better. It wasn't like it was that first day. That first day was just wildly crazy. So I go get the CT done. And it comes back and it's like, yeah, there's something in there. But it's nothing. It's just the impression is what they call it, everything. When the word says impression, that means this is what the radiologist, the person that reads CTs or x-rays says, this is what we think it is. The impression came back nodule at this size, 1 point blank centimeters by 1 point whatever, could be distinctive of like a cyst, liquid, blah, 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 blah. Refer back to doctor. So you take it back to your doctor and you're like, yo, what is this? Like, what can I do? Like, you just want to get it fixed. And he's like, checking my face every time, making me move my face all different ways. He's like, do you feel any pain? I'm like, I mean, yeah, there's pain and there's a little pressure in my hearing and all that. And it's like, okay, well, we need to do a biopsy now. A needle aspiration, fine needle aspiration, what do they call, where they poke it and take blood samples and look at it under biopsy. So it's like, oh, this is serious now. Like when you're talking biopsy. But again, he's like, which is his job. You don't want to go in and go, hey, you might have cancer. I had to explain to him my life too. I'm like, yo, I'm an anxious person in general. This is what you don't want to hear.
Don't be dropping that C word.
No. It wasn't like, don't be dropping that C word. It was just like, yo, like, I want to let you know this is who I am. So whatever you say, I'm listening attentively.
Yes.
And I'm Googling everything you say.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm fact checking.
So he's like, yeah, we're going to do the biopsy and then we'll go from there. We only take it one step at a time. So we go do the biopsy. And the biopsy, it's the day of the biopsy. And the doctor that is doing the biopsy says, I'm not doing this biopsy. And I'm like, what? He's like, I can see with the ultras, because they have to do it with an ultrasound. He sticks it on it, the mass, and says, this is nothing. This is spit. Like not actual spit, but it's a liquid cyst. There's no reason for me to stick a needle in your neck, numb you up, because it's just going to be drained. And it'll grow back. So you need to go to your doctor to talk about just getting it drained. And I'm like, you certain? Like, I have to go outside and tell my wife this. And he's like, yeah. So I go out to the car, and Haley is like, no, I'm going back inside and talking to the doctor. I need to make sure you didn't just leave the hospital.
Amen.
Because you were like, I was worried. I was nervous about.
I don't think I ever got out of the car so quick in my life. I was like, nope.
I was nervous about having which is so stupid. I would do a biopsy like 10 times a day now.
I know.
I was so anxious about having the biopsy done that she thought I had left. Like, she thought I
sure did.
Bailed out, didn't do it, and
Sure
just made
did.
up a lie. So we go back in, like, we go through the hospital, go to the doctor. He looks her in the eye, and he's like, this is not cancer. This is
100%.
No, he said 99. He didn't say 100 because I'm holding him to that. He said, this is nothing. I am 99%. Go home. Like, go to your doctor. I'm not even doing this. So then I go back to my doctor. I say, he didn't do it. This is his findings. The doctor's like, oh, that's great. This is great. I agree. Then if he agrees, I agree. And I'm like, okay. Like, we have some. He's like, my doctor's like, let's see what happens for 6 more months, and maybe it'll go away. And I go home that night, October 24th. It was about a month after all this had started. Thinking, something was in my gut. It was just like, I don't know. Something. I'm overwhelmed already. And I woke up the next day on October 25th. You had a doctor's appointment for your shoulder because from golfing, you had a hurt shoulder. And this is where I'll share things.
Beast on the course, man.
Half my face just didn't work.
Yep.
I didn't know what was going on. Like a stroke. I was blinking weird. It was this side, my right side. When I blinked, I was like, my blink was off. It was like a lag. I was like, oh, man, my tongue. And looking back, there were days built up to it that I could tell. Like, I had a cold sore on my tongue, which I talked to you earlier about. Like, this is still going on. I have another one. It just didn't work. Like, I was like, something's wrong. And my doctor, my ENT, had continuously made himself check my face because of this spot. Mm-hmm. That I immediately went to his office. I mean, I didn't even have an appointment. I drove up to the office, walked right in and said, I need to see the doctor right now. Yeah. And I was like, look at my face. And he was like, yeah, come in. So they took me in. He feels all over this, and he's like, I don't know. This isn't good. I don't know what's going on here either. He's like, it could be what's called Bell's palsy, which you can look up, which happens. It's a neurological problem. It affects people. Mm-hmm. It could be the thing. I don't know. We should have done the biopsy. I'm like, no shit. Look at me now. This has been a day. Everything was 100%, and now my face isn't working, and it's not. Okay, so I'm gonna try to fast forward it because I'm gonna keep going. I'm sorry.
You want me to sing to you?
No.
I can sing Ramblin' Man.
No, I'm rambling. All this is very important. I went to another doctor.
Yes.
I was like, okay, what do I do? And they're like, well, we're going to do another CT of it, and then we'll get you in for biopsy in a week or two. And I'm like, what do I do right now? Not only, and this is where education comes in, when people hear Bell's palsy, because that's initially the first diagnosis they gave me was, you have Bell's palsy, which is an inflammation of...
Stop mansplaining.
It's easier to say it. A cranial nerve that comes out of your brain that goes into your face and goes across your face. Got it. That's why people paralyze their face. It's inflammation that they don't have treatment for. It just goes away when it goes away. And that's what the doctor told me. He was like, 2 weeks to 6 months. I couldn't fucking blink my eye. Like, it was not blinking. There are going to be videos. Bing, bing, bing. I took a photo and a video of myself every day. Because not only did your face not work, which was a nuisance, the amount of pain it was, the amount of that vertigo vestibular, I couldn't walk. Every moment was spinning. It was like on a bat. There were times when I tried to walk through Kroger, and I was like, I'm walking on a basketball, it feels like, and I can't fucking move. And my head's hurting, and I can't breathe, and my eye is dry because I can't close it. I was manually blinking my eye. I was at the eye doctor's, and he was like, "Yeah, you're not gonna lose your eye as long as you keep it wet." So it was like I had to constantly, continuously lubricate my eye because there was no blink. My eye would just roll in the back of my head. Eating and talking was just. I'm not gonna. I'm not even gonna do that. It sucked. It sucked so bad. But it was like the exterior part sucked. Everything that was happening interiorly was just worse. So I go to another doctor, another ENT for a second opinion because clearly there's something going on here. I'm not going to name these doctors' names. She hears me. She's lovely. She's like, yo, this isn't Bell's palsy. This is what we call Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, which is like the sister to Bell's palsy. The way I like to call it is Bell's palsy premium. You have Hulu or Hulu Plus. It's Bell's palsy premium. Ramsay-Hunt syndrome is the same thing, except it adds these other effects to it. So like, I learned something called hyperacusis. If you tapped on the table right now, when it was going on in its peak, your tapping on the table was like a bomb going off. I noticed it when I would flush the toilet or shut the microwave or put a plate down. It was just like pow, like it would jar you, and you were spinning, and your face wasn't working. It was all kinds of jacked up. So she's like, you have Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, and I want to look at that thing on your neck, or under your ear. And I was like, is that what's causing it? Because it's all the same side, right? And she's like, I don't think so. And I was like, well, that's just a weird coincidence. She's like, yeah, it is. She's like, I'll stick a needle in it right now, and if it drains out, there's your answer. They should have done that at least. And she sticks a needle in it, and it doesn't drain at all. And she's like, this is a solid. She's like, you have to go have a brain MRI done now. Like, I need you to have an MRI of your brain and an MRI of your neck because we need to know if there's other ones inside of here because this is serious now. So we need to send this off for a biopsy immediately. This was around December. Yeah. Fuck, I have no more time to talk about this. I go to do my MRI. I'm just going to skip through it. I'll talk about this next Monday. We'll just pick up. I go to do my MRIs. I get COVID at the same time. So I've had COVID before. This is my second bout of COVID. The second bout did not go well. It was way worse than the first time I had COVID in 2021. I ended up getting very sick with COVID and I didn't say that. I said the CTs and MRIs. I had nuclear tests done on my lungs because I was just very sick. I didn't get better after 2 or 3 weeks, and then 4 weeks and 5 weeks again with a paralyzed face, with a tumor. Now it's a confirmed neoplasm of malignant potential, not cancers, but not benign either. So it's in this middle ground. It's still in my body, but there's hope that we'll get to next Monday. It's still not. I mean, my doctor's not going to treat it as cancer until it's proven that it's cancer. The COVID happens in December. It sticks around into January. I have to go to another doctor. They have to send me to a specialist for pulmonary function. And then fatigue is hitting because all three of these things are happening. This tumor, this Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, they're all nerve related. So COVID affects your nerve endings and stuff. It binds to that. Your vagus nerve is what they were telling me. I've learned so much. I was just getting sicker every day that they were doing blood work, and I was in and out of the hospital and doctors, and there was this throat thing going on all of a sudden, which if you watch yesterday's video or any other videos, you're going to see I was clearing my throat a lot, and I was just my throat is so tight, I can't, it's just I'm not breathing, it's tightening up, and it was easily able to be pawned on. You're just anxious, and it was just you don't fucking hear me. I can't take this. I don't know what's going on. I'm missing so much. I'm just trying to get done. That's December into January, and then January, my doctor's the pulmonary doctor's we have to diagnose you with long COVID. This is long COVID, man. Or what we can consider COVID. I forget what he said. Like COVID something syndrome, like extended COVID. He's like, there's not treatment for it, really. He's like, we could try to get you into these COVID clinics, long COVID clinics, which they were like, we could see you in 8 months. And it was just like, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? I can't get out of bed. I wake up every morning feeling like I got COVID in the morning, plus my face is paralyzed. I say it all the time, and I know you're tired of hearing it, over 100 and something days without blinking. Then my face slowly did start to come back. This is where my baseline is. The tumor was found. My doctor said, I don't want to remove the tumor until we see your recovery from your paralysis. I need to make sure you have recovery because you might not have full recovery. We won't know. It could take, she just said at my recent appointment, it could take 2 years until there's like a full answer.
Yeah.
But she was like, I want to see where you get to because the surgery that I have to have, they mess with that same facial nerve.
Yeah.
That she didn't want to mess with it while it was already messed up.
Yeah.
So she didn't see a super concern for cancer that she wanted to wait. Then the COVID happened. She was like, no, I definitely want to wait. Like, we need to clear you out of all this. That's around January to March time. Weirdly, as all this is going on, in March, my stomach just starts out of nowhere, like, I was throwing up. I was getting sick. Blamed it on anxiety. Blamed it on, all the other stuff. Mm-hmm. It was easy to blame it on, like, you're just anxious because of all these things that are going on. You have a lot of stress. Mm-hmm. You're overwhelmed. I was going to the doctor and telling them, hey, now this is going on. They did more scans, and they were like, you probably have an ulcer. You have a lot of stress happening from all these things. We think it's an ulcer. You should take, like Mylanta and a daily antacid. Go to a gastrologist, though. Let them do scopes of you to see if what's doing this, what's making you sick. Gastrologist couldn't see me until October of 2024. So I'm trying to find doctors. We're going to different doctors in the country, Vanderbilt, Cincinnati, to deal with the throat, the face, the tumor. I'm back in the hospital again in April and May. I had started losing so much weight. Like, I couldn't eat anything. Mm-hmm. I was eating maybe a half a cup of chicken noodle soup, if that. Couldn't drink any soda, which was a good thing. The soda actually made me drop a lot of weight. I just wasn't eating at all. Could not eat any scrambled eggs. You'd make me scrambled eggs, and I'd try to eat that. And I was just like immediately getting sick or just was not hungry at all. And I had lost too much weight too fast that they were concerned. I've gained it back now. My doctor was like, this is bad. Then they did blood work, and it was like, these things are a little off. Then it was, oh, no, you're fine. It's still an ulcer. And again, this all goes back to the anxiety part of things. I'm not saying you did anything wrong. And I hate telling this because I know you feel like I put this on you like you were wrong or whatever. But there were points where people were like, you've got to calm down. Like, you need to take more medicine, a medicine that's going to kind of sedate you a little bit because you've worked yourself up through everything. We know all this stuff's happening to you, but you need to help yourself by calming down. The day that I went into the hospital, the day before I went into the hospital, I was in tears saying, I can't believe I've constructed all this pain in my mind that I'm having in my stomach. Like, I did all this to myself. This is all my anxiety. And then the next morning I woke up, and I say it this way because it's the most blunt way. I was pooping as white as this and pissing or peeing dark brown like tea. And I was like, something's wrong. And the pain was so bad that I remember I fell in the shower, crawled out of the bedroom, and you were like, we need to go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital. Same doctors were there. We're like, dude, we've told you just have an ulcer. You're anxious. They did my blood work, and they were like, we got to send you downtown right now. You have a gallstone stuck in your bile duct. So, like, not just gallstone, they had pushed out and it had blocked off bile from getting out of my liver.
Yeah.
And that's when I had to let go. Like, that was the moment where it was like, I have no control anymore.
Yeah.
I can't walk out of here. First of all, I couldn't even walk. And then it was, you have to go downtown. Like you have to have surgery today.
Yeah.
Because this could kill you. And I was like, okay. Like, but they were like, oh, it's just common. It's common. It's normal. This happens. We do this. I got down to the hospital downtown. We were there for 7 days. I had 3 surgeries in those 7 days. I had to have 2. I won't get into them. I had to have 2 surgeries to remove the stones. Then they were like, we're going to go ahead and take your gallbladder out as well.
Yep.
They did my gallbladder surgery. Thankfully, they didn't tell me because I was asleep. When I woke up later, because it was only supposed to be a fast, quick surgery.
And it wasn't.
Scared the hell out of you. They told me that I would have died if it would have been any longer, that my gallbladder had perforated, that they took a picture of it and showed it to you. They showed me the photo.
It had eroded your liver.
Mm-hmm. It had affected my liver.
Yeah, they said you had literally less than 48 hours or you would have died.
Yeah. And I was dealing with all that pain that whole time because of my anxiety. I just said, like, I had fought, like, oh, it's not that bad. I can.
Yeah. And
I was so scared that I was trying to hide from it that you couldn't hide from it anymore.
And that's where, like, I think that a lot of last year was difficult because, I mean, I found myself being extremely frustrated with you because sometimes it truly was nothing.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And then sometimes your gallbladder, it was life-threatening.
Mm-hmm. But
there was so much of that anxiety was outweighing reality. You know, nobody's perfect. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, and I definitely made mistakes, but you know, that was a moment for me to be like, okay, you were being truthful in how you felt. I assumed that you were just not wanting to leave.
The boy who cried wolf situation.
Yeah. And then it was truly something serious. But I think, and I know that we're way past time.
I mean, fuck it. At this point,
we can keep it for Monday.
No, it doesn't matter at this point. At this point,
next week. But I think the greatest thing, you know, yes, life put you in a situation where you had to let go of control. But I think that the greatest thing from our stay in the hospital for 7 days was the fact of you finally taking medication to help with your anxiety.
For the OCD side of things.
Yeah.
Because you're scratching the surface of how mental I am.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I truly think that there were 2 things that came out of that week in the hospital that really changed the course of our life from that moment now. Like, things they're not 100% better. It takes time, baby steps. But you are very different.
Yeah.
Than you were the past 17 years. So.
There's so much I want to talk about, but no, we've gone over like an hour and a half, I would say, at this point.
Yeah.
And I want people to, it's not that I want people to watch this and everyone wants to have their story heard or something like that, or feel vindicated and like, look what happened to me. Not like that. But like, I just want some not understanding from people. I want the people that were trying to be there this past year, not trying to be there, might have felt like I had disappeared to understand what was happening. Because I said I didn't share this at all. We had a minimum of people, and no offense to those minimum people. I mean, I would get that way too with someone else. It's just like, yeah, that sucks, but you'll be okay. When in reality, what was happening was, no, man, it doesn't just suck. Like I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah.
Like it broke me down because it was thing after thing after thing after thing after thing.
Yeah.
And it was like my darkest hour was coming. Like it was happening.
Yeah.
And it
several times.
Yeah. We said I would be. We had always agreed to be honest about that.
Yeah.
The mental aspect was happening. The physicality of what was happening to my face, in my brain, the walking, the vertigo, the pain level. There's pain from here to here. It was like chronic illness almost. It was like there's all this pain there's all this mental anguish. Then there's all this physical pain in my stomach. That really, like, you know, when you talk about hurt, that really hurt to the point where it had to be medicated in the hospital, obviously, and have surgery. But then there was like repercussions of nerve damage that's happened from the long COVID, nerve damage from the paralysis in my throat that's still ongoing, that we'll talk later about other things about medication and treatment. There's not a fix. You know, I was straight up told, like, there's treatment to help, but this is going to be forever. Like, you're going to have to deal with, like, you're going to have to accept that. And there's still a tumor in my neck that I don't know is cancer or not yet until it's taken out. We'll talk next Monday. I have surgery scheduled for January 22nd, I believe is the date. I want the people to know that see this, that I really hope watched it, not for like me to like get a view or anything like that. I just want them to know, like, I only ever loved them to not burden them. I didn't want it to feel like I was attention seeking or wanting to, I don't know. They couldn't fix it. I knew they couldn't fix it, and I didn't want to even bother them with it. But I missed things. I missed the wedding of my friend. I missed the birth of a kid that was my friend's kid. I didn't even talk about my grandfather dying during this time. This past year, my grandfather got a brain tumor and died. So my family, my immediate family on my side, we got sick together, me and my grandfather. And we were all focused in on my grandfather's health because he had a brain tumor. And like that trumps and like kind of overshadows me. And it wasn't like I was mad that it was happening, but it was like there wasn't enough space for everyone to kind of deal with things. And he died. I mean this is the end of it. He did and I didn't. So it's just been a lot. And then we have, which we'll get into on another Monday, we have children, you know, like there's a life going on too. Safe to say, my life, it didn't shut down for a year and a half, but it was made still. In the still living, it was forced upon me. Of like you have to. I had no choice.
Yeah.
And it was a point of a daily battle. Like, there was no point of suffering anymore. I felt like I was like, I'm just suffering at this point.
I know.
And if it wasn't, I'm not happy that my gallbladder exploded and pushed into my bile duct, because I've stuff that it's still today. You know, like I'm still recovering. It's been 6 months since that surgery. My stomach will be jacked up forever probably, but it's manageable now. And I could eat again, you know, putting them pounds back on. But had that not happened, like you said, I wouldn't have been not forced, but I wouldn't have been more open to a more treatment option or an avocation for myself.
Yeah.
To be like, I need fucking help. Like, I need help. And I can't do it anymore. If I try to do it on my own again, I needed someone not to validate my fears. I needed someone to not listen to me and not hear me, but to let me listen and hear them better. Like they had to. I'm saying that all wrong. The world just dealt me a hand that it was like, you're gonna choose here which way you want to go.
Yeah.
And like, I hate that. Like you said, I'm a control freak.
Mm.
And then it was out of my control. Literally, the paralysis was out of my control because all I wanted to do was move my face. All I wanted to do was not be in the hospital feeling sick and throwing up and losing weight and having the surgeries. all I wanted to do was have my throat stop hurting. That's what I've learned. It's like when you're sick, all you want is to not be sick.
Right.
But then when you're not sick, you're like, oh, you're worried about dumb shit. Like the guy in front of me is driving too slow. Mm. Or this is bad. Or I don't have enough money. Or blah, 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 blah. Anyway. We're 2 hours in. This is Mental Monday. This is Roscoe's story. We didn't get to talk enough about Haley's story. So we will talk more about that next Monday.
Or not.
Well, I mean, I just feel like it needed to get out of the way because we were bringing up things yesterday when you were like, oh, your tics and, and I was like, no, it's just my anxiety and stuff like that. So it just needed to be what?
I don't think your tics are anxiety related.
Okay, well, I mean, sure, you can go get a diagnosis for anything at this point. Not that I'm saying anything I've gotten diagnosed for was like...
No, I'm just saying like...
You know what? We'll talk to the doctor about it. How about that?
I mean...
Take it to the psychiatrist. You go with me. You take it.
I do. I just...
Sure.
Your tics are... They're new. That's what I'll say.
Really?
They're new. You've not always had these tics. So that's why I don't think that it's anxiety at all.
Well, I'm not worried about it.
Me neither. Whatever.
I don't care.
Life's chill, baby.
We're just living here, and we're still living. That was the main core message of like why I wanted to try to name it that.
Okay.
Way
to give the whole cookie in the third episode.
I mean, I think they got it from that. If anyone stayed and watched this, I'm pretty sure they fucking got it.
If anybody stayed and watched this,
I'd be shocked. I'm curious
thanks for being a trooper, guys.
Watch it in parts. All right, go back halfway and stop it, and then come back and finish it.
Or listen to it on Spotify
if you want.
And I don't know, clean your whole house and maybe your neighbors. It's that long.
And you know what? I'll say that I really wanted to do this. I wanted Mondays to be like, you tell them real quick. I'm only giving myself 2 minutes. What is the thing you said? What does your Monday look like? What do you always ask me to do if I need to decompress? You just said it the other day. What do you want to do? No. You said, what do you want to do what'll make you feel better? Some people have shopping. Some people have.
Oh, retail therapy?
Yeah, but what do you say? You say, do you want to go to the bookstore?
Oh, well, that's your thing.
Yeah, you hate the bookstore, but I love the bookstore.
I do hate the bookstore, but you love the
I
bookstore.
love to read, and I think reading is one of the best things in the world.
And it's not going to the bookstore to buy books.
No, it's like going in and
you are the one person that will pick up 4 or 5 books, find that random chair in the middle of that random aisle, sit down, and just skim through the pages and find books that you like, and maybe you're like, I think I'm going to like this, or I don't. But don't worry. Don't fret. I can almost guarantee you he will use the facilities immediately walking in the door.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee that you will leave with about 3 magazines.
I do get my magazines.
One of which will be an NFL magazine.
And
gotta get your football.
I get a film magazine.
Gotta get your movies.
I get a film magazine.
And then sometimes a very random book, but it has to like really grab your attention.
There's a lot of health and wellness books I read.
No, like sometimes, like the last time you walked out with a New York City maps book.
That was a cool book.
You didn't even take it on the trip.
Yes, I did. We're not going to argue right now. I did
2 minutes is up.
No, all right. What I was going to say was I wanted the Mondays to be this, like not a book club sort of thing. I read a lot.
I know.
I read a lot about my mental health.
I know.
I have tons of books that could be about that. I have Marcus Aurelius's meditations over there. I have my Stoicisms.
Yes.
I have fiction that I love.
Yeah.
I didn't bring that book. I bet you thought I would talk about that one, which I will later. But I thought, all right, you know what I'll do? I'll share one, like not a book club, but like I'm going to share one. This is my mental health tip is read as much as you can because reading is so good for you. It could bring you peace. It could help your knowledge and wisdom, depending on what you're reading. I mean, a romance novel, I guess that's your thing. But
don't throw shade.
I'm not throwing shade. But I brought this book. I was going to read a book every Monday is what I thought, and I would just show what it was and why I read it.
Okay, go ahead. This
is The World According to Mr. Rogers.
Okay.
And this is one of my favorite books, and it's Important Things to Remember by Fred Rogers. And it's like, you don't want to be cliche, like be like, oh, that quote, blah, blah, blah. These are Mr. Rogers quotes. Like, these are things he said. I'll flip through here and I'll find one. And I flipped here and I dog-eared one that I thought would go well. It's a very short, you can't see it all, but they're very short quotes. This one's on understanding love, and Mr. Rogers said, listening is where love begins. Listening to ourselves and then to our neighbors. So, I read this often. I read a lot of books often, and I'll talk more about like some of the fiction or nonfiction books that I read. That's my mental manic Monday tip.
What a Monday.
Yeah, maybe I should just show the intro, show the end, and then the video would only be like 30 seconds.
That sounds good to me. All
right. Thank you for staying this long. We've been going for a long time, so I'm not going to hold anyone up any longer. Do you have anything else you'd like to say on this Mental Monday?
I love you.
I love you too. And I love you, whoever it is out there that needs love as well.
Should we change your shoes too while we're at it?
What's wrong with my shoes?
That was such a Mr. Rogers moment.
No, I didn't mean it like that. Hey.
Where's your sweater?
Dang. Still in shade now. Won't you be my neighbor?
And I love you.
I do. I mean the people.
Follow the trolley.
I mean the people that I hope.
To the puppets in the back.
See what I've gone through? I meant the people that I hope know that I shared this with them finally because I love them and I didn't hide.
Oh, well, wow. Why to make me feel like a jerk now that I made fun of you? Well, I don't care. I stand by it.
Won't you be my neighbor?
Always.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
No.
Good morning.
Goodbye.
Good afternoon.
See you guys.